Well, hello there in Estonia. This is Steve Jurvetson. I'm sorry I'm not there to join you in person and talk with you about the interesting topics of this conference, but hopefully with this short video I can share some of the perspective that we can bring from Silicon Valley on the three major themes of the topic, that being agility, persistence, and sustainability. To illustrate that, I'll use the example of a remarkable entrepreneur, Elon Musk, and a couple of the four companies that he has started as an example of those three tributes and how he has put them into great effect here in Silicon Valley. For those who are not familiar with Elon Musk, he is a remarkable individual. He's an immigrant to America from South Africa, like so many of our entrepreneurs. And he has started industries, or rather started companies that revolutionized industries in as diverse areas as banking, automobiles, rockets, and solar cell installation and financing. They're about as different as one can get, and I've never met anyone like him since, or frankly, never even heard of anyone quite like him on the planet. So he's a wonderful case study in that regard. So let's look at a couple of his companies. One of his current high flyers, literally and figuratively, of course, is SpaceX, about to launch later this month to the space station, hopefully docking and bringing cargo, and serving symbolically as the next era of American spaceflight. This company today is quite remarkable. It has over $4 billion in backlog, meaning booked business on contract, and has done some remarkable feats, being one of the first companies, in fact the only company ever, to put a spacecraft in orbit and bring it back, and one of the few on the planet to do so, if you include governments like Russia, the United States, and China. Others have tried, like Korea, but SpaceX is the fourth to succeed. So it's a remarkable company, but the tale of its founding is even more remarkable. No one believed that this fellow, who had never worked in the industry, could possibly do such a thing, to be cheaper than the Chinese, to be the future of the American space program. And how did he do that? Well, he really believed in what he was doing, and he stuck with it. No one else would fund this company. He put in the first entire fundraising until the company got profitable. He took it literally from nothing to a profitable business entirely on his own, with the belief that he could do it, and no one else believed in him at that time. And groups like us have since invested and support him all that we can, but when it was riskiest, there wasn't anyone knocking on his door. That persistence, by the way, had to stick through some pretty dramatic failures. The first few rockets blew up literally on the pad. When you talk about a failure to launch, this makes it very visible. But he stuck through it to the very end. When things were toughest for both SpaceX and Tesla, he did not give up. In fact, he spent every penny of his personal wealth that he had made on PayPal for those two companies. Not only did he spend all that, he went substantially into personal debt to be able to keep those companies alive at a time when no one else would invest in them. SpaceX is also a very agile company. They've brought on new products like the ability to reuse components of the rocket in very creative ways, using the escape mechanism as a landing mechanism. They've canceled some products and added others in a very agile way. And I think one of the fundamental design attributes of the company is that it uses what I call a software modularity of reuse, meaning build something, get it to work, then stamp and repeat. So the Falcon 1 rocket had one motor. Once that was proven to work, they just put 9 of them in a cluster to make the Falcon 9. Each motor is exactly the same. It's been a proven entity. Now you just put 9 of them, you have redundancy. When the Falcon Heavy launches later next year, they'll just take 2 of that central Falcon 9 rockets, put the same fuel tanks and motors on the sides. Now you have 3 times 9, 27 engines, all of the same type, lifting a larger rocket. That really riddles throughout the entire design philosophy, from the electronics and the systems to the fuel tanks and the motors, to try to approach this the way a software engineer might, not the way the military industrial complex had in the past. And so they make a cheaper rocket than any other company on the planet, or any other government for that matter. And it's quite a remarkable story. In terms of sustainability, he has a vision, and that is to build a sustainable rocket company. And it really kind of is an interesting idea, but he draws the analogy that says, imagine you threw away your airplane after every flight. How expensive would air flight be? And that's exactly what happens in the space industry today. No one has recovered a liquid fuel rocket and reused it. He intends to reuse every aspect of the rocket to be able to refuel and launch again soon after the first launch. That is a new era in sustainability within rocketry that will help make us a multiplanetary species. His dream here is to colonize Mars in the long term. In the near term, launch satellites, get people to the space station, and be the future of the US space program. No small feat in its own regard. They also, as a culture, believe in sustainability, and that they're buying carbon offsets so that they're a carbon neutral rocket company as well, which is something any company could do, but one that sort of is at the core of what they're all about. Now let's switch to another one of his companies, Tesla Motors. Here is an incredibly interesting story as well. The darkest of times, when they couldn't make payroll and the company literally was going to go bankrupt, Elon wrote the check a loan to allow them to make payroll in December of 2008, kept the company alive, allowed them to reduce costs. It was a negative gross margin product at the time, meaning they were losing money in every car they sold. Not an exactly financeable opportunity. They didn't have a DOE loan yet. They didn't have a partnership with Daimler Chrysler. In fact, Goldman Sachs had just failed to do a fundraising, and Elon alone put the money up to save the company, diving into personal debt to do so. Well, fast forward to today, right? It's a public company doing quite well, about to release a sedan product this summer that is quite remarkable and should be the future of automobiles on the planet, at least symbolically, that will drive electric vehicles, and in many ways Tesla has catalyzed that. Other companies like Ford and GM say that it was Tesla that got them to put their design efforts in place to build electric vehicles in the first place. So here's a company that is moving much more quickly than traditional car companies, releasing products on a very rapid schedule. You can see the SUV with the Falcon Wing doors articulate on 2 hinges and lift up and out of the way. Releasing product after product at a pace that's roughly 2 to 3 times more rapid than normal traditional automotive companies. And of course, it's a story of sustainability, right? Electric vehicle is the most clean way to drive. The gas-burning cars of today waste 80% of their energy in heat and use only a tiny fraction of the energy of the gas they burn to move the car. Even if you were to do centralized, oil-burning power plants using Siemens cogeneration plants and going to electric cars, that'd be a more efficient way to burn gasoline than to do it inside the small engines that we drive around today. So in the future, all vehicles will be electric, every one of them, right? Tanks and trains already are using diesel gensets to power electric motors, and vehicles like cars naturally are going to all be electric in the future, and Elon's helping to pave that way. Well, now with those 2 examples, I hope you've seen that these are some themes that run deep within a lot of the most exciting companies in Silicon Valley. Elon Musk has also started Solar City, which is filed to go public last week. I can't say anything about it because it's in its quiet period, but also a real story of sustainability and moving us to a more sustainable energy source that then could power those electric cars. So let me shift gears entirely to some of the abstractions of where are the opportunities as we see it for a nation like Estonia, for the entrepreneurs of Estonia on a global basis. And I think it's a more exciting time than ever before. If the slide can be shown of the 110-year version of Moore's Law, I just want to leave that up as I'm speaking to remind people that accelerating change in technology has gone on for over 100 years. And I won't go into it in detail because I don't have time, but you can look at it on my blog or search for the 110-year version of Moore's Law or my name in Moore's Law, and you'll see a lot of writing I've done on this topic where basically Ray Kurzweil has realized this pattern. That is, the pace at which computing power is compounding is nothing to do with semiconductors. It has nothing to do with Moore or Intel or any of that. In fact, if you look at all these different technologies, vacuum tubes, transistors, mechanical devices, they all fit on the same curve over a very long period of time. And by the way, a straight line on that curve is an exponential, because as you'll see on the far right, this is not a linear scale, right? Any straight line on this kind of graph paper is a continued exponential for 110 years. Now, why do I show that? It's emblematic of a larger trend. First, the technology continues to accelerate, the pace of change accelerates, and this creates new opportunities for startups over and over and over again. Second, it's exogenous to the economy, meaning economic swings like the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, have no impact on the pace of technological progress or the pace of innovation. It does affect company formation success, but it doesn't affect innovation and scientific breakthroughs. You can count on that. And thirdly, this is the only long-term trend I can think of in all of technology business, and it's likely to continue for another 10, 20, 30 years. So you can, in a sense, you can bet your careers on this, you can bet government policy on this, that something to do with the software conversion of every industry, be that rockets, cars, or energy, is something that's going to be more and more prevalent. Industries that have been sheltered from change will go through radical transformations as Moore's Law brings a software pace of change to those industries, where perhaps trial and error experimentation, like crashing cars to prove they're safe, it gets replaced with computer simulation, the way it's been already done in aircraft design and now with Tesla in car design. As an entrepreneur, I think this is a great time when you couple that phenomenon with the internet, the ability to reach global customers like never before, at costs never before seen, with lower transaction costs and lower marketing costs, be that a viral product like Skype or Hotmail, or be that an enterprise software product like Box.net or others. So as an entrepreneur, you can reach global customers, you can launch products that spread like wildfire. It's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur, specifically in anything touching on software, for the consumer, now increasingly for the enterprise, where those consumer products become enterprise tools. And as it percolates out into other industries, like in biology, thinking about re-engineering the information systems of biology, not traditional biotech. In energy and clean chemicals, think about simulation sciences being brought to how you re-engineer microbes to make fuels and chemicals, rather than the old traditional method of trial and error experimentation over decades. It's a brave new world we're entering, where Because of accelerating technological change, you're going to have more disruption, more innovation, and more opportunities for new entrants to succeed. That benefits startups, both at the company scale and at startups at the economic scale, meaning that of countries. So both companies and countries that are small have a chance to compete with those that are large like never before. And that's why I'm so excited about the entrepreneurial wave that'll come from bright minds studying science and engineering in places like Estonia. And Skype is just but one example. The product was developed by 4 people in 4 months, and now it's one of the largest telcos in the world and worth billions of dollars. You too can do the same, and I wish you well in that endeavor. Thank you.